Hi, I'm Brandon, and I'm a data analytics tutor and a business intelligence freelancer. So if you got data goals, I got some solutions. So go ahead and reach out to me and let's have a chat. So without further ado, let's get into it. In this full outer join that we have here, it's essentially going to show all the records from both tables A and table B, okay? So now that you can see in this part, I can actually spell full outer join, okay? You couldn't see that in the last slide, but here in full outer join, this is gonna show both the records from both tables, student and teacher. All records will show from both tables, and the results will show both teachers without students and students without teachers, and it's going to show the matches, okay? And the output will look as you see here, So like for example, in value 1, in the student table, there's not a corresponding value for course ID 1 in the teacher table. So instead, it's gonna have a null value. So a null simply means unknown. It's only a null value, which means that the value is unknown. So number 3 is also a null. So there's a space there, that is actually also a null value. And that's it. So, but you would see both. You would see both students without teachers and teachers without students, and those values both are coming in null as you see here. And here's the syntax for this full outer join, okay? It's gonna swap in that full outer join there, but the structure, the overall is typically about the same. So let's go ahead and get on into it with the demonstration on these SQL joins. So let's say we have these two tables here, the select customer table, and we have this order table, okay? Let's say we want to join these two tables. The first thing that we're going to need to do is to identify what's going to be that related column, because that related column will reflect the related column that we choose will determine what's going to be our final table that results from our query. This is something quickly I'm going to let you know or add, is that what you're really going to want to do additionally is, usually when you're starting a job, you may not be so comfortable or aware of the data and the tables and the databases that you're going to be working with. So sometimes you may not have an idea on how the tables are related. So I'm going to give you this query here that you can run, and what it essentially does, it creates a temporary table and it takes the data across the databases. It gives you insight into what tables have what columns, and you could use this information to identify how the tables are related and identifying that related column. For example, in our case, right now we want to join these two, and we're looking at all the columns here. We're looking at all the columns for both tables. And so just from the start, if you don't know anything about the tables and how they're related, you're going to be going through these and trying to identify how they're related. So what you could do, for example, we can do something like select the customer ID, and we could make some kind of guess. Okay, let's select the customer ID, and then again, we'll go ahead and paste the customer ID here, as it already is, okay? And we're going to run this command, okay? And just like that, it's going to let you know all the tables and views across the database that are related. So we can quickly see the customer table has the customer ID column, the invoice that is a view has a customer ID, and the orders table has a customer ID. So we can see that the customers table and the orders table, they are definitely related by customer ID, okay? And from there, boom, you've identified what your related table is, and this could be really effective because then at this point you can go from from one column to the next column and identify how tables are related, okay? So now, boom, we know that these tables are related on customer ID, okay? So let's go ahead and we could essentially just, here is the syntactical structure on how to build out a full outer join. That's what we're going to go ahead and start with. And let's go ahead and run this. And just to show you really quickly, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and also run the left join that I already have prepared ahead of time for you guys, because it's really easy to just type in, the syntax, okay? But one of the more important things that you want to understand is that these, depending on the join that you choose, it's going to filter out the data. Okay, so that's something that you really got to understand, because again, need to make the correlation on the join that I'm going to choose is dependent upon who are the end users that I'm going to be servicing and what they need. Okay, so if I was to select these just off top, let me show them both. They essentially look the same. Okay, they essentially look the same. But let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and do a count on the records that exist within this table. And we'll also do a count. Okay. We'll also do a count. So let's do a count on both of these. And we're quickly going to see that one has 832 columns. One has 832 records, and one has 830. So as we spoke previously, when you're doing this full outer join, it's going to bring in the data sets from, it's going to bring in the data sets, the data from both the left and the right tables that it's connected to. And in our case, it's the orders table and the customer table. So again, the join that you're going to be choosing is going to filter out the data as we spoke about previously. So it seems that there could potentially be customers that don't live in the orders table. So we have some customers that don't have orders. And so a quick way to kind of identify that out with a full outer join is just going into the where clause and just identifying the orders, the customer IDs in the orders table, which again, our customer ID column is our related column. So we want to identify those customer IDs that happen to be null in the order table. And that would identify the customers, that would identify those customers. So there are two. So let's go ahead and get a better understanding on what they look like. So now with the orders.customer ID column, we're looking for those records that happen to be null. Let's find the customers who aren't there, which means that they don't have orders. So the order dates are null, the customer ID is null. So this customer ID is null for this orders. So these are the ones that exist inside of the customer ID, okay? But they don't exist inside of the orders table. So their orders customer ID is null. So again, here are my pre-join questions that you're gonna wanna think about, which is who are the query that you're building, who will it support, what's the data relevant to them, what data would they like to see? And based on that, that's gonna give you an idea on on the kind of query or the kind of join that you would need to build or not build, okay? Because you're gonna need to know, is it okay to return rows of students without teachers? If that's okay, and you only want to show that and the matches, then left join might be the one that you want to go with. Okay, if you want to return rows of teachers without students and the matches, then right join may be more fitting. Okay, if it's okay to see both of those, students without teachers and teachers without students, including the matches, then full outer join could be your man or your guy. Okay, so and then finally, if you really just only want to see the teachers that have students and students that have teachers, so you want your data to be filtered down to just those, then an inner join would be best for you. Okay, so again, I'm Brandon, and if you have data goals and you need a data analytics teacher or you need a business intelligence freelancer, I'm available. I've left my email, or instead I may actually provide a Calendly link so you can set up some time with me and we can have a conversation and you can let me know what your goals are. I love talking to people.